Hello, dear friends. We are going to talk today about the geopolitical situation in Syria, because Syria crossed some very difficult times after the revolution, so-called revolution, Arab Spring in 2011, and then it was a period of war. And it was a coup d'etat at the end of last year, and the President Bashar al-Assad left the country, and now there is another transitory regime. We are going to talk these things with our distinguished guest, Miss Isabella Zaidan. Hello, Miss Isabella. Can you hear me, Miss Isabella? It seems we have some technical problems. Maybe your signal is not good enough. Miss Isabella, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you very well. Sorry.
All right, perfect. It was a problem, I think, with the signal. So I said we are going to talk about Syria, and you are Miss Isabella Zaidan, academic and researcher in political discourse analysis. You are from Syria, and we met last week here in Bucharest, in Romania, at a conference called Middle East from Chaos to New Disorder, because we are not talking about order. And it was actually the 11th edition of the Euro Defense and Middle East and Political and Economic Institute from Romania. So where do you live in this period, Miss Zaidan?
Actually, after the topple down of the regime of Assad back in December 8, 2024, like many Syrians, I moved who are afraid for their lives, afraid from the prosecution, because they took, because they had those people who had a specific political identity. We were afraid over our lives, so we decided to move our way out of Syria. However, I just want to tell you something. Not all who are formerly were working for the previous government were all prosecuted. Those who stayed in Damascus, they were not all prosecuted, but there has been some harassment some arrest, some, let's say, detention for some political figures that were formerly Assad supporters, who were supporting not Assad, but supporting the political project or the political path that Assad was taking up. Because those people were really effective and influential in a way that might change the mainstream, let's say, community point of view in Syria. This is why those people were captured and some of them were harassed. However, the new government, or let's say the new and transitional regime, as you said it, I like the way you call it. It's perfectly describes them. The new transitional regime is trying to look as much as possible as let's say, a tolerant one that represents the value of human rights, the one that values, let's say, democracy. However, it's only out to the outside world. This is the image that appears to the outside world, because what this transitional default or the flaw that is, let's forget about the past. If I want to be, if I want to act like what the political Western elite are acting, if I want to take their policy towards Syria, let's forget about the past. When talking about the present of Syria, we would notice that this current regime, or the current transitional regime, is trying to look as a tolerant one, as a modernized government, as a government that cares about the principles of democracy and political circulation, and the cares about the government, cares about building a new Syria based on multi-identity, based on the multi-identities that Syria has. However, this is not the way inside. If you are a person, a Syrian person, living inside Syria, and I have paid several visits to Syria, and although I have a history of political identity that might be different to the political identity that this new regime has, I haven't been prosecuted or harassed. But although, even if I haven't been prosecuted or harassed, I have to speak up my mind. I have to speak honestly about things. If you are a Syrian citizen living inside Syria, you will unfortunately have the advantage, having the advantage of watching the local news, the local national TV, talking in a sectarian language, dividing people according to their ethnic, please, I want everyone to hear this, according to their ethnic, religious background. And this is something new, because during the time of Assad, the only identity that was prevailing in Syria, it was the Syrian identity. It was a regime, Assad government was a government of pan-Arabism. So the identity was the Arab Syrian identity. Assad regime has few mistakes, of course, like any other regime in the Arab world, and like many regimes in Europe. I'm sorry to say this, all regimes, they pretend in Europe, in America, they pretend that to be like, we care about the values of a human rights. We care about democracy. We care about, however, I think Gaza, what happened in Gaza and what happened in Syria has dropped, these two events have dropped the masks of all countries that are pretending to be angels, while they are just as evil as some regimes like I'm just going to mention Israel as an example. I'm not going to say anything more. However, I just want to mention something. During Assad time, we never heard on the TV channel any sectarian language that would make Syrian nationals feel that they are divided according to their religious background or ethnicity. This is really sad. As a Syrian, I feel really sad because I can't imagine my country where I only felt as a Syrian nationalist who is patriot to her country would open TV and hear a main TV anchor in the main TV show. It's the main show that appears on TV talking about a theory. They invented a theory called minorities alliances against the majority government in Syria. Believe it or not, this is something, unfortunately, this is something it breaks my heart to report that to the outside world. But this is something Europe does not see when delegations come from Syria. And if I want to take up the position of Europe and America and support the new government, I know like no government in the world would make everyone happy. But building on the wrong foundation will bring nothing but sadness, will bring nothing but destruction. And the foundation that this transitional government is building on is wrong. Okay, this is the main idea that I want to, of course, there are a lot of aspects to talk about, but this is something I really wanted to stress at the beginning. So I know I haven't been prosecuted. I can go to Syria maybe and nothing happens to me. I can come back to Lebanon. A lot of my friends went to Syria, came back to Lebanon. Nothing happened, nothing. However, we still have to speak up what we are seeing honestly. We have to keep our integrity and speak honestly about what's happening, not sugarcoat the truth. The truth is not as beautiful as it may appear to the people in Europe or in other places where the political elite is, where policy is made, and where strategical decisions are taken at the expense of the lives of Syrian people. I'm sorry, I was a bit long.
It was useful. I think it's useful to mention for our audience that the war lasts 8 or maybe more years, and the price was very heavy for Syria. There were 500,000 deaths, in my information, maybe more, 1 million wounded, 10 millions almost refugees out of Syria, flee from Syria, and it was almost half population that left the country. And here in Romania, we often mention Syria that in comparison
I'm
with
sorry,
Romania.
can you repeat the question, because my internet was disconnected. I'm so sorry.
No, it wasn't actually a question. I just wanted to frame the situation. And I said that almost 10 million people left the country as refugees. And
Yes.
we in Romania, we mention Syria in comparison with our country because we are considered the second immigrational country after Syria, but your people left because of the war, and our people left because the regime in the country, that it is against the people. It's a kind of dictatorship. It's a masquerade of democracy. So However, the situation in Syria is still very bad, and I want to offer for our audience a map of Middle East, and we can see Syria with violet, the color violet, in the central of the image, and it is bordered by Saudi Arabia, and we can see Iraq, Jordan, Lebanon, Israel, and Turkey in the north. And it is useful to have an image of the situation, and we can see Romania in the top of this map. I hope you can you can hear us, Miss Isabella. Or maybe we lost connection again.
Close the camera so that the internet would be clear and the sound will be clear.
Your camera is closed. It would be good if you can open it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, now it's
Yes.
good. All right. So, in your opinion, how is the life now? Is it better with this new president, interim president, or it was better with Bashar al-Assad? And I will show some images. This is Bashar al-Assad, and he was president. His father was president until 2000, and from 2000 to 2024, he was the president of Syria, and now it is another president that it is pretty strange that he was member of al-Qaeda, from my information. So
he moved between, I'm sorry to interrupt you, he moved throughout different fundamentalist groups, Islamist fundamentalist groups, including one of them was Al-Qaeda affiliated, which is Al-Nusra Front, which was Al-Qaeda branch in Syria.
Yes, his name is Ahmed al-Sharaa, something like this.
Al-Sharaa.
Al-Sharaa, okay. So how is the life with this new president in comparison with the period of Bashar al-Assad?
What to say? It's really, for me, I will try to be as neutral as I could be. Okay? For me, life was not the best during the time of Assad. It was not the best thing. During the time of Assad, living standards were not the best thing. Some people used to call al-Assad a dictator, but we have first to know what is the definition of dictatorship and democracy. Because according to what's happening now, how America and the West are dealing with Syria, I think also democracy needs a new definition. Because apparently, the Western elite, again, the Western elite are dealing with Syria in a very new way, where we have to redefine things, to reknow things, to define things according to the changing situation in Syria. During the time of Assad, we didn't have political freedom, maybe. This is according to the definition of the West and America. Okay, if I would go according to that definition, Syrian people never had any political freedom during the time of Assad. There is no need, to explain how difficult was the life of the people during Assad regime, the living standards, because of the sanctions that was imposed on the country by, especially by America, by the EU and America. But the sanctions that were imposed by the Americans were destruction. It brought destruction to the country, because apparently we thought that the weapon of sanction does not work with people like Syria or with regime like Assad. However, we realized no, the weapon of sanction works. How it works? It makes people bow down. It makes people be submissive to whatever change comes. It makes people numb, not feeling how difficult or how hazardous things happen. Things can go if the people never take action. And this is exactly what is happening in Syria. What we are seeing in Syria, maybe it is, I will say this for the first time, but what's happening in Syria apparently is, it's painful to say. What is happening in Syria is the product, the conclusion of more than years and years and years of lack of the interaction among people into political life. Apparently, Syrian people, they don't have enough political awareness of their rights, enough political awareness of what they have to do in order to save their country of the abyss that we are about to all fall into. And whom do I blame for that? Whom do I blame for this big, let's say, ordeal or outcome? I blame the regime of Assad. I blame them. I blame the regime of Assad because they didn't train people to have enough political awareness of what is being conspired against their country first. Not what are the rights of those people? What are my rights as a people? Who is the real enemy? People should have been more aware to know who is the real enemy to the country Syria. Why Syria can never enjoy or live in welfare and stability? Because for a very simple reason, that we have a really bad neighbor called Israel that would never want Syria to live in stability. That reason, unfortunately, it turned out that not all of the Syrian people were aware of. And of course, what helped this lack of awareness also is the sectarian language, not by local Syrian TV now, but because of what has been circulated in mainstream media in the Arab world. Unfortunately, a lot of Arab countries took part in implanting and instilling sectarianism among the Syrian society members. How is that? Is by using mainstream media, by targeting people's values, by deviating people's attention from the real enemy. I'm sorry, but we all in the Arab world are now well aware that Syria is the biggest enemy to the Arab world. Israel is the biggest enemy, not only to Syria, but to the Arab world. So that is what I blame Assad for, that not educating people well for their political rights, their freedoms, their how to interact with government, any government that is now in control of the country. However, I told you at the beginning that I would go with the definition of the West and America of what democracy and what human rights are, right?
Yes.
Building on that definition that I have been given throughout 14 years in Syria, are these principles and is this definition of human rights and democracy is now being implemented by the transitional government which America and Western elites are advocating for? No. No. End of story. And if I want to explain why, I think we have to spend more than 10 meetings to explain why. The new regime, unfortunately, as I never agree with the political path of this transitional regime in Syria. However, I am with my country. If I want to support this new government, they need also to support themselves so that we would have a reason to support them. They need to give us the reason. They are not giving us the reason to support them. Given, not to mention the heavy history they came with. But I told you, let's forget about the past. Let's not talk about history. Let's start fresh new as America and the Western elite want us. And even starting brand new, we have problems. Even after the start. I mean, I don't know where to start, but I will start with a very recent example. Parliamentary election. It's not election.
I want to mention an example given by our common friend, Mr. Tarek, your co-national, and he attended also at the conference in Bucharest last week, and he spoke something that amazed me. He said that you had parliamentary elections in Syria, and
sorry, I was out of. I got disconnected. If I want to talk, I'm sorry.
I said that Mr. Tarek, our common friend, your co-national from Syria, said at the conference last week in Bucharest that there were parliamentary elections in Syria, and the parliament was elected with only 7,000 votes from a population of 25 million, and still the United Nations recognized the result as being valid. So for me, this is an example that in Syria it is not a democracy, and also the West is in a good relation with this transitory government. That they support this government. Otherwise, they would condemn. They would say this is not fair elections. We cannot validate this result. So, what do you think about this situation?
What do I think about what?
Well, this kind of elections, and the United Nations admitted the validity of this result.
First of all, the Syrian people, although can I compare to
Yes, your signal is not good enough. I mean, pretty often it is interrupted. Maybe you can find another place there. We are waiting a bit more. Maybe the signal will get recovered.
Can you hear me now, Mr.
Yes.
Can you hear me, sir? Yes.
No,
can I do a little bit comparison between the elections during Assad time and the election during al-Sharaa time? During the election of Assad, we have several parties, political parties. Now we don't have political parties. During the election previously, the elections were based on the foundation. For example, the ruling party was the Ba'ath Party, and the Ba'ath Party, the few people were nominated by the leadership, like a few members, distinguished members who share or take part in public service. They were nominated by the leadership in order to take up the role of member parliaments. But before being chosen, we needed to have what is called political elections inside the Ba'ath Party, where the members of all the Ba'ath Party, which were almost 4 million people, were to agree on the list chosen by the people, chosen by the leadership. Afterward, people of the member party of the Ba'ath and other independent people can take part of the elections. Also, we had members nominated by national, we call it الجبهة الوطنية التقدمية, Progressive National Front, where we had several other parties who get to nominate other people for the election, who also were elected by all the Syrian people, all people who were legally capable of voting. They were capable of voting. Now let's go to the elections of Mr. al-Sharaa. During the time of Mr. al-Sharaa, we have a member, we have a لجنة الانتخابات العليا, the highest election committee. This committee, third of it is assigned by Mr. al-Sharaa. The other 2/3 is, of course, the committee, all of the committee members were assigned or chosen by Mr. al-Sharaa. Mr. al-Sharaa, so of course now the number of the member parliaments during Assad were 200, more than 250 something. I'm sorry, I can't recall the number. During the time of Mr. al-Sharaa, it's 100 member parliaments, third of whom is chosen by Mr. al-Sharaa. The other 2/3 are elected by 7,000 people. Who would vote for these 7,000 people? Who would choose them? How do you name these 7? The committee assigned by Mr. al-Sharaa. So Mr. al-Sharaa gets directly to assign 1/3 of the members, like 33 member parliaments, and the other 77 will be chosen, will be nominated or voted for by 7,000 people. Who get to assign or who get to designate these 7,000 people is the highest election committee. Highest election committee is comprised of almost 10 people, 10 members, and these 10 members are assigned or designated by Mr. al-Sharaa. And now, unfortunately, I'm not going to name the country, but one of the ambassadors to an EU country.
This procedure is constitutional? I mean, do you still have a constitution in Syria and the government respects it?
As Mr. al-Sharaa wrote a constitution, it was announced by the end, I think it's in April. It was written and signed, and it's unbelievable because all of the authorities are assigned, all of the authorities are in the hand of Mr. al-Sharaa, all of the authorities. Like,
this is not democracy, it's dictatorship.
He takes the place of, there is no such a position like a state, a prime minister. He acts as the prime. He takes all of the authorization of the prime minister. He's the head. Mr. al-Sharaa, he doesn't have a university degree. He does not have a university degree. However, he assigned himself as the head of highest judicial court. This is true. Also, he is the head of the there is no military committee council. There is no military council. He's the head of any military body there is. There is no speaker for the parliament. He acts as the speaker of the parliament. He took up a lot of authorities, and in the constitution there is no clear item or act that says that in case the president, like in the case the highest judicial committee wants to hold the president accountable for something, no one can like the president is untouchable. No one can hold the president accountable for any mistakes that happen.
So he took all the prerogatives in the state. I mean,
everything,
he is chief in every domain.
Legislative, executive, military, all kind of authorities are under his hand. And he invented something that was not there during the time of Assad. And I think it's important that people should know about it. It's صندوق السيادي, the sovereignty fund, the sovereignty presidential sovereignty fund. And this will be in charge of supervising all investments that are being done in Syria from outside country, from an outsider. And every money gets through that investment does not go directly to the concerned ministry. It goes to the presidential fund.
Yes, I guess.
And no one. It's heartbreaking and it's frustrating sometimes. Only Reuters mentioned something about it, but very briefly. Information were not very delved into. I think people should read more about what's really taking place in Syria. This is what I want to say.
Yes, it's hard to find credible, reliable sources to read about. But let's presume that Mr. al-Sharaa is a good dictatorship. I mean, he took all the prerogatives, but he wants the benefit of the people. So my question for you is, how does the people feel this new leadership? I mean, they are satisfied. Their human rights are respected. How is it now?
How people feel about all of these things happening?
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
people are split into three parts. One part is very happy with whatever happened because they thought Assad was suppressing them in a very aggressive way. So whoever comes is better than Assad. I am happy with any president other than Assad. And these are, I think they are not very huge part of the three parts. The second part are people, and they are also few. They felt that during the Ba'ath Party, the ruling of the Ba'ath Party, which is a secular party, they felt that their religious identity was obliterated and was being suppressed. And they wanted, maybe that had created a reaction to that I want to highlight, for my religious identity to be louder in the society. And they felt that the person to achieve that for them is Mr. Sharaa. And Mr. Sharaa is playing it very well. He's playing on the feelings. He's playing on the feelings of those people, on the majorities. Not majority, I'm sorry. I got affected with the local media language. He played the game that I am here to support those whose religious identity was suppressed. It's not like that. People's religious identity was not suppressed as much as the national identity was louder and higher during the time of Assad, and not over and not at the expense of any religious identity, because people used to express, to do their Islamic rituals, Christian rituals, any kind of other sect rituals, whenever, however, and as much they want. Let's agree on that. So that's not a problem. So people are, I was talking to that we had 3 parts. The first part where just they didn't feel how bad the situation is because they were afraid or they didn't like the regime of Assad, which is like, it's there in any other country. I mean, there is no regime that would make all of the people happy. Second, those who wanted or felt that their religious identity should be expressed more in the government, which is wrong. They wanted to express it like they support political Islam because they feel this is the only way for their religious identity to be translated into active social life or active social political life. And that's wrong, of course, because we know Islamic political Islam failed everywhere. The third are the silent majority. Many people are now not happy. Many people. I respect the feelings of the other 2 parts, but I'm sorry, they are not many. Many people are not happy, especially religious people. Religious people of Muslim, of our brothers, fellow Syrians, Muslim, Sunnah. They are not happy because they know this is not the real Islam. And they know the reality of the group that is taking over the power in Damascus. And they know the indoctrination they have and how dangerous it is for the Syrian society, for the image of Islam in the Levantine as a whole. This regime, with the atrocities taking place in Syria, I'm sorry to all the hopes being pinned in America and the West, but this regime is threatening the modest and moderate image of Islam in the Levantine, whole Levantine, not only Syria. And the world should wake up. Either the government, the transitional regime wake up, or the world should wake up. One of the 2 should wake up. One of the 2 should change. And I don't have a problem. I'm trying for the sake of my country, for the future of my country, to do as I was asked by the West and as I was asked by the American, and forget about all of the atrocities and the heavy history of Mr. al-Sharaa and his group ruling the world. But yet, Mr. al-Sharaa should help me forget. Mr. al-Sharaa should help other Syrian people forget. How? Is by a true active change on the ground. They should change. They should do something for the sake of Syria. Trying to please the West is not going to do it. Trying to be submissive for Israel is not going to do it. What he's doing with Israel now is not legal, is not constitutional. He's trying to hold a deal. He's trying to hold a deal with the Israelis while he doesn't have a parliament yet. This is one. The parliament hasn't convened any session yet. And second of all, we are weak. We have no army. We still have no national unity government, no national unity army. We have no weapons. We don't have a strong economy. What kind of a peace deal is this? It's a submission deal. Because when you want to have a deal, you should have something on the ground. And Mr. Sharaa does not have anything. Does not have it. I'm sorry.
Yes. I think it's good to put things in perspective, because it is well known that the West wanted for many years a regime change in Syria. And not only in Syria, we saw what happened in Iraq, for instance, when they put sanctions so tough that 1.7 million people died at the end of 90s years. And of course, they put the blame on the president, Saddam Hussein. And the same happened in Libya with Muammar Gaddafi, and they killed these two presidents, and they put some puppets of the West. So, of course, they are playing a role that now is better, it's democracy, but you cannot. And, it is a similarity with Romania. Until 1989, we had President Nicolae Ceausescu, and with the participation of secret services, people started to hate Nicolae Ceausescu as being a dictatorship, and they keep people in poorness. But now, after 35 years of Western dominance of Romania, we can understand that the times with Nicolae Ceausescu were better than now, because in 1989 Romania has 0 deaths, and we have industrial capacity. We were very good in all the domains. Now we are just a market for the Western products, for their multinationals. So that's why I think maybe this new president, al-Sharaa, could be a puppet of the West, and he does not act for the benefit of the people, but for the benefit of his puppet masters.
Unfortunately, the only reason things work out for I have to be honest to myself first and to our people. This is a message not only for Europe, it's a message for my people. The only reason that what America wants, what America wants in the region always works out, not because it's a strong country, it's because we are weak. These sanctions would have never affected any country if it was strong with economy, education, invention, technology. And if you would look at Iran is a country that has been under sanctions for 40 years, yet they are doing really well. Why? Because they count on themselves. Why is the Western elite whether the West or America, why are they being so aggressive to countries like Russia, Iran, Syria previously, Venezuela? Those countries chose to be independent. And in a way or another, America has to realize, this would be like my dearest last message. America, will realize sooner or later that it's not a unipolar world anymore. It's a multipolar power. Where everyone not bullying the other, where major powers are not bullying smaller countries in order to be their affiliates, not to take up their own independent path, preventing them from that. No. It's going to be a multipolar power, a multipolar power world where every country has its own role in economy, in military, in technology, in development. And America has to realize that it cannot hold the whole world in its hand anymore. And it's fine. And it's fine. Only them, the killing and the destructions of countries like my country. Syria was supposed to be the elite of the two. Before 2011, Syria was supposed to be the elite of the region, the elite country of the region. And it breaks my heart to speak about it. For me, of course, I wish my country all the best. I want my country to progress. It just can't comprehend the idea that Al-Qaeda is taking over my country with zero public resistance. Why? Because the people know that it's not in their hands, it's in the hands of the outside world. I'm sorry, I was too honest, but
it's very good.
you can't
appreciate
but
very
get
much.
emotional. You can't but get emotional when it comes to your own hometown. Even
We appreciated very much at the conference that in your in your position expressed in the front, you said that nobody talks about Syria information, that there is no free speech. I mean, it is a huge disinformation, and I appreciated very much that you have this very human feelings. I mean, to talk from the heart, and that's why I invited you. And I think it was
an honor. It was an honor, and I am sorry for the background noise. But I would never miss the chance, the smallest chance and the biggest chance to talk about the ordeal that my country is going through. Just like one final word, I was trying to be as neutral as I could be, but Syria is not doing well. Syria is not fine. Do something or make the people you're advocating. I'm not talking, of course, to you, doctor. I'm talking to people who are influential. Syria is not doing well. It's not fine. Either you do something or you make the people you're advocating for do something. Change.
Exactly. I want to underline what you said previously about this huge shifting towards multipolarity. And it is useful to remember that 4-star generals of United States, General Wesley Clark, revealed a few years ago that after the dissolution of Soviet Union in 1999, the Pentagon already made plans to invade 7 countries in Middle East, not because of democracy issues or freedom of speech or something else, because they wanted to keep their superpower, to be the only superpower in the world, to maintain the unipolarity. And in their plan, the 7 countries were Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Sudan, Somalia, and Iran. And this is exactly what they've done. It was a plan, that an agenda that they established a long time ago, and now we see how they develop this. But they will not succeed because China and the Russian Federation are raised up, and India also, and the BRICS, and the unipolarity is not possible anymore.
No, it's not. There is no such thing as unipolarity, and the war, if you like, I'm not an economic, but what's happening with the gold and the dollar exchange is a clear evidence that it's not a unipolar world anymore, which is good. We're tired. We're just tired of being controlled for the benefit and the favor of one side. This time would come. Unfortunately, maybe it's not during my time, maybe during the time of the second or the other generations to come, where people can have or lead the political path, decide their destiny, countries can be independent without being destroyed by major power. I know we will reach this point someday.
Yes, one final question, Ms. Isabella. You said earlier that this new president, al-Sharaa, is in very special relations with Israel, and Israel is the biggest threat of the Arab nations. So what about the Golan Heights and the plan of Israel to build the great Israel, the big Israel in the region. They want to annex some regions, maybe some parts of Syria. What do you think about this? I think we lost the signal with you again, but it will recover. I hope you can hear us, Miss Isabella. Not yet. Maybe some of our friends are not very happy with this dialogue. I don't know. No, the signal was lost. So I think we have to end here this interview with Miss Isabella Zaidan, academic and researcher in political discourse analysis from Syria. It was a very productive dialogue.
I'm sorry, I'm back.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Very, very good, very good.
You were talking about the relations of al-Sharaa
with Israel, and about the plans of Israel to build a greater Israel by annexation some regions from the neighbors. And I know that there is a delicate situation with the Golan Heights area that belonged to Syria and now was taken by Israel. And if this new president, al-Sharaa, is in such good relations with Israel, I don't know which are his plans.
Yes. Actually, as I told you before, this new transitional regime is trying to approach, to create a good image in front of the world. And they started by approaching Israel as peacemakers and peace dealers, not as defenders of their land. And this is a very dangerous game. They have to be careful. They are losing a land after another. The reason they lost parts of the southern land is because what they called the Minister of Foreign Affairs appeared on local TV, local Syrian national TV, and he said what happened in the south in Al-Suwaida was a trap we fell in, and this trap was set by Israel. Later on, we would get surprised that delegations are being sent to negotiate with Israel. You don't negotiate with those who set a trap for you. This is one. Second, you have to be careful. This compromising and giving up on principles with Israel will lead nothing but to more compromise. Whatever you would give to Israel easily, Israel will ask for more. They have to be careful. It's a dangerous game. As long as they are being submissive to the Israeli will come and ask for more. If you would tell Israel, okay, I will give you this part of land, just leave me in power, leave me in peace, this would give Israel the pretext to intervene more in Syria. I don't think it wouldn't be surprising if we would see some Zionist lobbying inside of the Syrian presidential palace telling Mr. al-Sharaa, we want this president, we don't want the other. If he keeps giving up this way over and over and over. This is one. Second, the only pretext Israel is, why Israel is intervening in Syria? Why Israel is bombing Syria? For using the pretext that terrorists are right next door, I'm afraid for my own national peace and security. Then why would the international community accept that Syria has this kind of terrorist regime? And then and then not blaming Israel for bombing Syria. So, okay, you're advocating for al-Sharaa, but it's okay for Israel to bomb him because he's a terrorist? It's a game. It's a dirty game.
Absolutely.
And Syria has lost 3 parts of its most important land, Golan Heights, according to the Israelis. For us in Syria, Israel can say whatever they want. Syrian people will never give up on not an inch, an ounce of their land. However, Israel say, for us, Golan Heights is Israeli. There is no Israelis. I mean, it's not being circulated in the media, but the Israelis are saying that they will never negotiate over Al-Golan Heights ever. They don't want to talk about Golan Heights. This is one. Second, I think Israel will never give up until they take make Asweda and Daraa in the south of Syria disarmed, and to make their own way, which is called, we call it Al-Jalili finger, Asba al-Jalil, and Mr. Bibi Netanyahu call it David route, until they reach the route where it's in a very crossroad area and on the borders between Iraq and Syria. Let's hope they wouldn't. However, if the Sharia government continue with the policy of giving up to the Israelis and being submissive with the Israelis and Americans, they will end up losing more and more lands. This is not the way to deal with Israel. What's happening in Syria is very dangerous. They have to be careful. Israel has never been a peacemaker. Israel can never live in peace. The only way that Israel will, if we would read Herzl's book on the Jew, state of the Jew, there is a book for Theodor Herzl, which is called The State of the Jew, or the Jewish State. They said there would be no Israel if they don't live on war, continuous war, with surrounding, so that they will be able back to Israel.
Yes, and they accuse everybody by attacking them, and they consider they are a victim.
Yes,
and this is their strategy. We can see this.
We like to call Israel as a narcissist country. A narcissistic country. Like a narcissist would always harm you and then accuse you of harming them. And this is what Israel does to us. To us, we're used to it and we can deal with it and we can fight. And resistance is always the answer, always the solution. However, we get harmed big time when we see mainstream media, whether in the West or America, not realizing how harmful it is for what Israel is doing to us in Syria and other countries, and in Palestine, especially Gaza now and the West Bank.
Absolutely. Maybe with this great transition to multipolarity, the United States will not act in supporting Israel anymore, because China and Russia will intervene in defending its allies in BRICS. You can see many countries in Middle East get into BRICS, and this will change the balance of power in the world. So let's hope for better, Miss Isabella. And thank you very much for everything, all the information that you gave us. It was very insightful. We here in Romania, don't have access. We don't have access to this kind of information. I said here in Romania, we don't have access to accurate information. You are a primary source regarding Syria, and that's why thank you very much for this. Yes. I thought the signal was lost.
And I would like, I would like to congratulate you for what you're doing. It's very rare. And here I'm telling, I'm not complimenting. It's very rare to have platforms like yours talking against, I'm not going to say against the trend or against the flow, but at least highlighting the truth where no one on purpose, like people on purpose don't want to show it. When truth is hidden, you are trying to highlight it. And this is something to be applauded and commended. Thank you so much.
Thank you, too. I think we are all connected, and together we are stronger. I mean, we ourselves here in Romania, we have a difficult situation. The presidential elections have been cancelled last year, and we are not living in a democracy. Praise to God, we have no war, at least not yet. I hope we are not going to have. But we can understand very well the suffering of other people, because we ourselves, we are in suffering. So we keep connection as peoples, and I hope in the next years the situation will improve. All right, so thank you very much, Ms. Isabella Zaidan. It was a real pleasure to talk with you, and I thank you on behalf of our audience that appreciate very much the truth that's coming through you.
And I thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Doctor. Thank you for having me. And thank you for offering me the space, because we are nowadays, not all people are being offered the space to talk about honestly and speak the truth about their countries. I sincerely appreciate it. I really do.
Thank you very much. We keep connection, and we can make some other TV shows, maybe with some of your connationals.
There are a lot of dimensions to talk about, like social, political, economic, and even on many different aspects.
One of the pillars of multipolarity is connectivity. That's why we are stronger if we know the information. We are kept in ignorance in Romania or in Syria, but with this kind of talks, we can have a wider view of perspective. Okay, thank you again. Thank for our audience, and see you next time. Goodbye.
See you. Bye.